Well, I still remember to this day, we were getting ready for market. It was Sunday afternoon, about 6 o'clock, we were getting ready for market. And we had to wash those carrots and vegetables, for market. And a neighbor came over and they said, Japan bombed Pearl Harbor. And our first question was, where's Pearl Harbor? Which was, but we found out. But that's when the thing went downhill all the way. Then where we used to take a market, they wouldn't take a vegetable or nothing like that. Shopping was pretty hard. Then, the hardest part was that, don't forget this, they didn't have no bus service, all open country more or less, out in the country. So, they put a restriction that you could only go travel 5 miles. We're a little over 5 miles from here to into town. Then another thing there is, they say if you want to go more than 5 miles, you got to get a permit. Okay, now where would you get a permit? That was in town. They didn't have no sheriff's station or nothing. You had to go into town. So they had you stuck between a rock and a hard face. But then naturally, then after that, when they bombed Pearl Harbor, that's when they said you got to turn in all your contrabands, Okay, that's no problem. But they said that our Nisei parents said somebody had nice samurai sword, which we didn't have. My neighbors had it. Like you got to turn naturally guns and flashlight. They think we were sitting there in the camera because we're going to take pictures. But technically speaking, even a straight-edge razor, and depending on the area where you live, someone got real strict. Anything you could use for a weapon, you had to turn in. Then the next restriction, they told us that you only could be up on 6 in the morning to 8 at night. That was the hardest part. But those were the things. That's the first thing they did. March 25th, we got the order to evacuate to meet over there at the Florence Packet House. From there, they put us on an old Greyhound bus and went to Arboga Assembly Center near Marysville. Very hasty put up. They had I don't know if you know about it, they had a barracks. They put a 2x4 in the ground. They put 1x10 or 1x12 on it, one nail in each board, tar paper on the outside, no ceiling. There's a whole one in the barrack, the other was all open ceiling, no privacy. And that's where it was assembled. Then the worst part of it, everything was communal, like that. Because they didn't have no toilet facility, it was all outhouse. Then like that, where you go to wash basin and things like that, they had made out of like a trough, like a horse trough, like that's what we had. No, they said they had 2 faucets. That was a big joke. They had hot and cold water faucet, but there was no hot water because the kitchen used to take it. It was the mess hall used to take it. So we all had cold water. Shower was the same thing. Cold water. Everything was communal. That was one of the hardest things. You go to the bathroom or anything, there's no stall, don't forget. You sat side by side in a regular outhouse, someplace back to back. I think that was one of the hardest things to get used to. Because even the mess hall, the family structure broke down because you ate in the mess hall, you ate in the table. In other words, your folks was there, fine, we ate. If they're there, we never sat and talked as a family. Even the mess hall, the family structure broke down because you ate in the mess hall, you ate in the table. In other words, your folks was there, fine, we ate. If they're there, we never sat and talked as a family. So that, in a way, I feel sorry for our Nisei parents because I would say the family structure and that we used to discuss things at the evening meal or dinner, that was gone. When we got to, then after that they shipped us to 1 month or shipped us to Tule Lake. It got worse then. But the hardest part in that assembly center was there. I don't know about the other one. Some people down at San Fran and Santa Anita, I don't know. They stayed quite a while, but like us in Marysville, we only stayed 30 days. But the hardest part, they say do nothing for 30 days. That is one of the hardest things. That's why I put myself, like the convicts, they have nothing to do behind the bars, they raise riot. I could understand why they would raise a riot, raise a ruckus, because that is one of the hardest things. You know, at first I thought, no chores, no nothing, oh great. But you know, after about 2 weeks, 3, then you got the third week, I tell you, it's pretty rough, sitting down and do nothing. Because there was no playground. Barrack and barracks, the only place you could maybe throw a baseball or football was between the barracks. That's all it was. The hardest part was, what would you do is you only could take what you can carry. And one bedroom, that's all you was allowed. So what would you take? We didn't know where we were going or what kind of weather or anything. So they say, well, you got to have a suitcase so you could carry it. But when you get a bunch of us, it's 120,000 evacuating. Where are you going to find the suitcases? It's all gone. So we stuck ours in a duffel bag. That's how we went, and with that one bedroom. But the rest of the stuff, we just have to leave it because don't forget, our parents couldn't own property or land or anything like that. So we sold what we can, but the smart people, they waited because that post, they had a nail on all the fence, tree, barn, and anything. It's all a public had to do was read that sign. They knew the date and time that we're going to leave. So if they didn't want to buy it, that's all they had to do, wait it. And after we left, they took what they want, just like in town, the same thing. They break the lock off and take what they want. And the police would look the other way. We lost tractor, all the farm equipment and everything. Yeah, even a house, and out on the farm, they take what they want. If they feel like it, they would burn the barn down or burn the shed down. But that's it happened, so I don't know. A bunch of us guys would get together, and they had a main fence and a lower fence, okay? So we would run up to the fence, and the guard would get all excited, think we're gonna do something. We just looked at him and give him the one finger salute and walk back. Other time we jump over the fence, and then we see the dust coming, we jump over back on the other side, our side of the fence. And once we get on our side of the fence, heck, we all look alike, so they didn't know who did it. So that's what we used to do with 16 years old. We do another thing, in Tule Lake, they had a lot of Indian seagull. I think a friend of mine, and a lot of people did this. They catch this inland seagull. And don't forget our guard tower, towards the end, they had a lot of these shock soldiers come as a guard and work in the guard towers. And what we would do is, we had a warehouse. We had all our carpenters singing, machine shop and all like that. So what we would do is go to mess hall, get a clam, nice clams, but they're nice and big. So then we go to the paint shop because we got contact. Get a paint shop, get a red paint. We cut the potato in half, dip that potato in the red paint, and spread eagle that seagull, and put the rising sun on it, and get next to the guard tower, we turn it loose, and those guards used to go crazy. But like I say, but the main thing, we do anything we're not supposed to. We had our own police. We used to call them ward. We had our own police force in Tule Lake. Long as we didn't get caught by the warden. Because if we got caught, they took us home or let our parents know, we really would have got it. But we were smart enough to not get caught by them, though. And so they sort of looked the other way, too, because they were older senior citizens, so we were younger, so we could outrun them, so it was all right. Like I said, we all look, once we got away, we all look alike, so pretty hard telling who did it. Then they had the loyalty questionnaire. And that one of that hardest thing, that questionnaire caused a lot of problem. I don't know if you ever heard about it, because don't forget now, that 27th question wasn't too bad, because it said, will you serve in the armed forces of the United States in combat duty wherever ordered? Well, if you're drafted, you would. But the last question is, will you swear allegiance to the United States and forswear any allegiance to the Japan or any foreign government like that? Well, heck, I didn't. United States, the only country I knew. But then again, you look at my folks' side, they couldn't become citizens until 1952, yet they want to serve allegiance to the United States. They'd be without a country. Now, if you said no, you'll be without a country. But they're asking a 17-year-old kid to renounce his citizenship. And boy, I tell you, we had I don't know about the other camp, but Tule Lake, we had all kinds of fights between brothers and sisters, brothers and brothers, uncle and aunt. Even between husband and wife, they used to argue like, hey, but what would you do? Because the United States, they lost everything what they worked for. And then if you renounce your citizenship, they'd be without a country, or you'll be without a country. So I had no problem because my dad says, if this is your country, the only country you know, so he knew that if we say yes, we're going to go in the service. I said, okay, so if you go in there, you fight for your country. If you die, so be it. That's basically what he put it. So then from there we went to Topaz, Utah. But that 28 question caused a lot of conflict. To this very day we have that problem. Because they call it no-no boys. The way I look at it, because all the no-no boys, no-no people from the other 9 camps went to Tule Lake. And the one that said yes from Tule Lake, they went to the other 9 camps. So as we call it, that Tule Lake became a no-no camp. But the way I look at it, I don't know how the other people feel, but I always look at it this way. It depends on a family situation. Just because they're American citizens, renounce their citizenship. But don't forget, they're minors, okay? So if the parents said they're gonna stay over in Tule Lake, what are you gonna do? You gotta do what the parent says. And then again, if you go against your parents' wishes, you'll be out all alone. But some people, parents said, we moved twice already. They don't want to move no more, so they stayed in Tule Lake. And the other people had relatives in Japan or property, so they stayed in Tule Lake. So it depends, like I always say, it depends on the family situation. We answered yes anyway. And so we got shipped to Topaz, Utah. But the hardest part is because I don't know, the camp was basically built the same way. See, Tule Lake was sandy soil, okay? Topaz used to be clay soil. But all the camps, from what I hear, they had 3 things in common. It was hot in the summer, cold in winter, they always had a dust storm. In Manzanar, I heard they blew every day. We didn't blow every day in Topaz or Tule, but I heard Manzanar, wind blew every day, dust fly. But then again, you look at it this way, you didn't need a broom, dustpan when you clean your barrack, because you only had 20. Our room was 20 by 25 for 6 people. So when you swept the floor, the raw lumber, you had cracked between the lumber. So you swept the dust, it goes down to the floor. So you didn't need a dustpan. So the wind blow, it come back up again. You talk about recycling dirt, But basically, all the camp are built the same way from stories I heard. Outside barracks, there's no insulation. You see the 2x4s, all hot and cold. The coldest one in Hot Mountain, Wyoming, used to get 30 degrees below. The hottest place was Poston and Gila, Arizona, 130 degrees. No air conditioning, no nothing. You ever try sleep on a canvas cot and a straw mattress? I wasn't that lucky. I was lucky I got slept on a folding iron cot and a cotton mattress. That was bad enough. Oh yeah, they give you 2 mattresses, 2 blankets, by the way. That's all we had in our barracks was one 60-watt light bulb, stove for heat, and then we had one cotton mattress for each person. That's all there was. But that you do the best out of a bad situation. But the hardest part was to get a room 20 by 25. I had a sister, 19 years old. What would you do to give her a little privacy? A lot of people just hung a rope and hung a blanket because they issue us two blankets per person, that GI blanket. So that's what a lot of people did until we got set up against scrap lumber, make certain things. But if you didn't have hammer and nail or you know, find enough wood, I guess they left the blanket up there. We trained as a Japanese unit. We were trained I trained in Camp Bland in Florida, and the other group trained in Camp Shelby, Mississippi. Don't forget, we were all trained in segregated. We was all Japanese American from all over the country. We had volunteers and draftees like us. See, the people that really suffer is the one that, the first one, the 100th Battalion, they was original. See, this is getting ahead of the story, but if it wasn't for the 100th Battalion coming over from Hawaii, they would have never formed the 442. That's why they said, they always ask us, so how come you guys fought so hard? I always tell them, could you imagine if we failed? I said, no way we would have failed. See, because even when I left for the service, we got three words in the Japanese language. He said, Gaman, Shogunai, and Haji. He said, Gaman is grin and bear it, so it happened. Then Shogunai, well, so you know, you grin and bear it. Then Haji is don't bring shame to the family. But could you imagine, you're 18 years old, you go into the service, here you are, he said, don't bring shame to the family or the community or even to the Japanese race. Heck, you're 17 years old, 18 years old, and they got that responsibility on you? And that's one thing we went by. That's one thing what kept, I think, that 442 and 100 together. Because they're the one that came over there, and I don't know if you know, but that 100 Battalion, there was a National Guard they came over. They didn't know what to do with them after the first 17 week of basic. So they took 2 17-week of basic training until the general decided what to do with them. So what happened is, the way the story goes, that first general says, I got a bunch of, as the story goes, I got a bunch of Jap trained, what I gonna do with them? Then he said he couldn't send it to Japan, South Pacific. So he said, hell, I'll send it to Europe. Let them worry about it. So they sent it to Europe so they went to North Africa. They fought North Africa, Sicily, and they went to Salerno and Anzio. And that's where they earned their title as a Purple Heart Battalion. It got shot up so bad. But that's the time they said they have to have replacement. Well, where are you going to get the replacement? They had all the eligible Japanese American 4C enemy alien, and this was an all Japanese unit. So where are you going to get the replacement? That's why they had to come and ask for volunteers. But at the same time, token again, they got to find out who's going to be loyal to the United States, who's not going to be loyal to the United States. That's where I still say that's where the question came in. To get a halfway decent job, because they wouldn't let us join the union. In order to get a halfway decent job in the United States, you guys join the union. But back then, 1947, they would not allow Japanese in the union. But anyway, they had a strike or something, so they have to hire a worker. So all the Japanese in Sacramento, I don't know, a lot of them, we went over there. We got the job at the so-called union shop, and the union didn't like it. So they said, well, either you let us join the union, or we're going to keep on using the people. So that's what they had to let us. That's how we got to join the union. But if it wasn't for that, we never would have got into the union, because the pressure was still high. But thanks to them, that they formed the 442, and then the 442, and we did pretty good. Yeah, I joined the 100th Battalion on the last push on the Gothic line. I joined, I think, the second day or third day after the Gothic line. Then I went all the way to North Africa. But you know the funny thing? The Hawaiian people, you talk about relax. I saw this, I couldn't believe it. You're on the front line, the bullets are flying, shells are falling, but I remember the company was held as a reserve, just in case, because we knew the war was winding down, so so the Hawaiian boys more relaxed. The first thing they do, they always carry a cup with a dice in it. And they will start, first thing they do, they have time, they bring their blanket and they start gambling. Right there on the front lines. I seen this, I couldn't believe it. But those guys were really relaxed. But they do things like that, and everything is possible. But the scariest part for me when I joined that outfit at nighttime, I still remember we were calling up at nighttime, and I'm a greenhorn, right? I just got over there, and I see that machine gun firing there. Machine guns, that German trace, but I swear to God, it come by that close. And our answer go, blat, the German goes. Ours go, back, back, back. It come about 10 feet apart, our tracer come. I said, oh my God, I said, what am I getting into? But anyway, that next morning we got up, they dug a fox over, they told me to dig a fox, I dug a fox, got up next morning, and we had K-ration, so I'm heating up my coffee, and with that, what's called, and try to get the water warm and eat my K-ration and the German shell. Let's see. First time that we knew somebody really trying to kill us. And it was scared as heck, greenhorn, don't know what the hell's going on. And I had a Hawaiian squad leader, and he was speaking pidgin English, and I know, I don't know what the heck he was saying. And could you imagine, you're scared as hell. You don't know what he's trying to tell you. He's getting mad because I don't understand him. But that was one of the scariest moments. It took me about 10 days to finally get to know how to understand it. You get the Hawaiian pidgin English, I tell you. It's really something. But you're scared all the time, but you get a greenhorn the first time. Never forgot that, I still remember that. But these Hawaiian guys are really relaxed. And they'll find, even when at nighttime, when they're moving up the line, go through town, pitch black, you only see the silhouette and what's come. But they always will find some fresh food of some kind. Because I still remember that night, I think it's over there by Carrara somewhere. But anyway, somewhere along there, pitch black. We had to take 10, we took a break, and next thing, so we got moving, so okay, saddle up, we started moving out of town. Next thing you know, I hear chicken going cluck, cluck. I said, what the heck that chicken come from? So next day, we were held in reserve, and so next thing you know, they got the helmet out, they're cooking chicken, frying eggs in the helmet and everything else. They was having a feast. I don't know where they got it, but they got it. But those guys managed. Like I said, those guys are very relaxed. Nothing seemed to bother them. Quite a bunch of people. The guys was quite a guys. The U.S. government and the Peruvian government got together. Don't ask me why they were going to use that Peruvian Japanese as an exchange for the American POWs. Matter of fact, I think they said 1 or 2 shiploads did go back. They had an exchange. See, but the worst part is that, from what I hear, the U.S. government got together. They brought them over to Panama. Then somewhere along the line, they took their passport away. So then they went somewhere else, another place for a while. Then they took them to Crystal City, Texas. Okay, so when they closed the camp, now what would you do? You don't have no passport. So they closed the camp, and they said a lot of them, that's why they had, the frozen food at the Sherbrooke Farm, they had a big frozen food that a lot of them went to that. A lot of them still fighting for their passport and all that yet. That you're trying to get reparation and all that, and they're still fighting for it. But those people that they had it pretty rough compared to what we, because they lost everything what we did. So I don't know. In Canada, they had about 2,000 the Japanese. They evacuated too. So because what I'm doing, that's why I know a little bit, quite a bit about it. But I know people that could, Peruvian. I know a gal that personally, I can't think of her name. I think it's Shimizu, Grace Shimizu. She's very into the Peruvian deal. That's why I know her. She could. You want to really know the detail, you get a hold of her. See, because that's really, talk about apple and oranges. That is really different. Because but I still don't know how the U.S. government and they got together over there. But they went. I put it bluntly, they went through hell compared to what we went through. But see, then they had German. I think they had German PW in Crystal City, Texas, too. Yeah, but that camp was for the Japanese and Japanese American. That camp was run a little different. It run like a family camp. They had like a grocery store. They had their plastic money to go shop in the store. They live in a house, and they had a refrigerator. Then they would have an ice delivery and milk delivery. Then anyway, one family shared a barrack, and they had a bathroom in the middle. Then they each one shared different parts of the barrack, half of the house, whatever the barrack or the house, whatever it was. But it's entirely different. Then they had, I don't think they had English, they had Japanese school over there. So, but it's quite a deal. But those people over there in the Peruvian, they're still suffering today. Constitution, a beautiful document, not because I went to Washington, D.C., saw the Declaration of Independence and the original Constitution. I saw that. So I said, stay in school, and when you get eligible to vote, vote. Because that one vote make a difference. I got a lot of friends that they say, oh, I never vote. Then I say, well, you have no complaints, have you? I tell them. See, I do. Well, I tell one of my friends, I told him to shut up because he didn't vote. Because he was so what's come on one subject. I said, did you vote? He said, no. Then I told him, well, you better shut up, then I told him. But, that's to each his own.